This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with Miguda. Miguda, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm doing well. How about you?
Niko vizuri. Leo siku yako imekuwaje?
Leo nasema tu siku imekuwa poa. Ni vile pale niko kuna jua kali, lakini kwa mapenzi ya Mwenyezi Mungu nashukuru juu imeshinda poa mpaka jioni.
Hiyo ni mzuri. Na labda tu kama kuna matukio labda umesikia ama umepata mahali habari ambao labda unaweza katujulisha sisi.
Matukio na nadhani ziko mengi zimefanyika nchini, lakini kenye nimepata kutazama ni wakati walikuwa na somea mashtaka pale Senate, wakati walikuwa wanafanyia cross examination na huyu wakili Kigen. Huyu jamaa alikuwa anasema ati yeye hanywi pombe. Kwa nini akunywi pombe? Yeye ni msabato. So the fact that you are Sabbath doesn't mean that you drink. So hiyo nimeona kama imetrend.
Yeah.
Pia yule gavana wa Migori pia nimeona kama alishindwa kujibu maswali katika kamiti ya Senate pale. Moses Kajwang' anamuuliza maswali, alishinda kujibu maswali za ufisadi.
Yeah, hapo tu bado tu kwa Senate pia niliona councillor MCA fulani ambao alikuwa amekuja kutoa ushahidi, alikuwa amepatiwa ile tuseme kwamba saa zile unaapa kwamba kitu ambacho utasema kwamba ni kweli, unaona, lakini kuisoma ilikuwa ni utatanishi. Hata kuongea kwake labda alikuwa na shida kidogo, na hiyo bado labda unakuja nikaona Wakenya, unajua Wakenya ni watu wacheshi sana, akasema Watanzania wasione hii.
Alisema hivyo. Nakumbuka kwa hata wakati Watanzania wanajua wanasema sisi kama Wakenya lugha yetu ya Kiswahili si sahihi, hatujui kuzungumza Kiswahili sahihi, na vile vile pia tunajivunia kwamba ni ukweli hatujui kuzungumza Kiswahili sahihi, lakini na vile vile wao pia wajui kuzungumza Kizungu.
Yeah.
Sasa ni kama tuko 1-1, tuko draw.
Sasa kila mtu anajitahidi sana sana kwa ile ambacho labda anajivunia kwamba ni mjuaji zaidi. Unapata kwamba hautaki utoe ama hutaki uonekane kwamba hapo pia umefeli kidogo. So unapata kwamba labda Wakenya wakiona kwamba kuna mtu ambaye anawafelisha katika ile kitu ambacho wanajivunia, unapata kwamba wanasema majirani watakuwa wanakuja kutupiga sana.
Sasa hata Watanzania wanapozungumza Kizungu inabidi wanajitihadi, kwa sababu wanajua kwamba wakiharibu tu kidogo hivi wanatanga the Kenya Online Defense Force wanawakujia. Na pia Wakenya pia wakilegeza kidogo tu hivi Kiswahili ndio wanasema ndio hao wachawi sasa wanazungumza lugha, wanaharibu Kiswahili.
Lakini unajua mimi kitu ambacho
na kila mtu anaita mwenzake mchawi. Watanzania wanaita Wakenya wachawi. Wakenya wanajua pia Tanzania ndio kuna uchawi. Sasa hii uchawi tunajua hatujui iko wapi.
Ujui imetoka wapi. Hizo tu ni utani tu za nchi mbili jirani ambao wako na tofauti zao labda kisiasa, kimasomo, lakini sidhani kama kuna ile adui. Nadhani hii tu ni ile hali ya watu kuchekeshana ama watu
ni hali tu ya utani. Watu wanatania, lakini si hakuna uadui.
Ni kweli, kwa sababu unapata mara mingi unapata kuna Watanzania ambao wanaishi nchini Kenya, vile vile kuna Wakenya ambao wanaishi Tanzania, lakini unapata kwamba wako na mahusiano mazuri sana sana. Hata ukiangalia niliona pale kwa wale ambao CHAN final itakuwa lini? Miguda, when is the CHAN final? Yeah, sawa. Miguda bado ni kama ako na itilafu kidogo na mtandao wake, lakini najua Zuchu ni miongoni wa wanamuziki ambao watakuja kutumbuiza katika finali ya CHAN na anatoka nchi jirani. So na pia unapata kwamba ukiangalia sana sana wafuasi, watu wengi, Wakenya wengi wanasikiza sana wimbo za Watanzania, nyimbo za Tanzania sana sana ikuja kwa nyimbo za bongo na mashairi zao. So unapata kwamba nadhani ile tunaonyeshana hapo kwa mtandao tu ni kurusha tu dongo tu ili tulete chachu katika tuseme kwamba burudani. Miguda Chan itakuwa na final lini?
Chan itakuwa na final kesho katika uwanja wa Moi International Sports Centers Kasarani, ambapo tutaona mchuano baina ya Morocco na Madagascar. Madagascar ndio host, sasa wanakaribisha Morocco katika uwanja wao. Nadhani alafu itakuwa imekamilika.
Na wale ambao wanaenda kutumbuiza sana sana, wanamuziki ambao watatumbuiza, Zuchu kutoka Tanzania atakuwa miongoni wa wale ambao watatoa pale burudani.
Zuchu amealikwa, najua ni anatoka nchi jirani. Wa Kenya sasa sijui watasupport mgani juu Morocco hawako wanataka Morocco. Alafu vile vile Madagascar watoka kwa quarter finali. Sasa sijui watashabikia Morocco. Unajua Wakenya ndio wako wengi katika nchini, katika uwanja. Sasa sijui watashabikia Morocco ama watashabikia Madagascar ama watatu watazame mpira tu juu wao ni washabiki. Sasa pia tujui.
Okay, hiyo ipo. Na pia kwa wale ambao ni watu ambao wamependa nyimbo za Injili, tunasema kwamba mwanamuziki kutoka nchini Amerikani ambao anaimba wimbo za Injili anaitwa Cece Winans has arrived in Kenya. Amewasili Kenya rasmi, na atakuwa na tumbuiza pale Uhuru Garden nadhani hii weekend. So kwa wale ambao wanagusa ama wale ambao wamependa nyimbo zake na huko eneo la Nairobi, usikose kuenda pale Uhuru Park usikize ama uenjoy. Itakuwa over the weekend, so hiyo ndio jambo ambalo lipo naona hapo. So kwa wale wanampenda Cece Winans, hapo ndio hapo Uhuru Gardens is a place for you this weekend. Don't miss out. Miguda, kuna jamaa alikuwa ananiambia hivi, aliniambia utachagua upulize ili iwake, upulize ili ipoe, au upulize ili izime. Iko na tofauti kweli? Upulize iwake, upulize ipoe, ama upulize izime?
Nadhani alingana nini napulizwa.
Sasa zingine wacha tuseme mazingira, labda tuko na ile kiroboi, anato kiroboi sana sana. Unaona, tukiwa tunatumia zile jiko za kitambo zetu, unaziona zile za kupikia yenye iko na miguu mitatu.
Hiyo naelewa, hiyo najua, hiyo ukipuliza itawaka. Na kama uko na msumaa ukipuliza itazima. Na kama uko na uchungu tuseme kwa mwili ukipuliza itapoa. Sasa inalingana unapuliza nini na unapuliza wakati gani.
Hiyo sasa nimekubaliana na wewe, lakini sasa jambo ambalo linasimama peke yake ni upulizi.
Kupuliza
utapuliza. Sasa kuna tofauti gani ya upuliza na fuliza?
Puliza.
Puliza.
Puliza inasema inaenda shwa. Ni ile inamaliza yote. Unaweza kupuliza ndizi, unaweza puliza pengine kupuliza moti wake, unaweza puliza ipoe, ama unaweza puliza zimike, lakini fuliza naye hakuna kitabaki.
Sasa unapuliza kwa tafsiri ya lugha ya Kimombo ni nini?
Kupuliza
Fuliza. Mimi sijui kwa lugha ya Kimombo, labda tutauliza Makubura akikuja, ama Barak ama Joseph. Joseph unajua anatoka Kongo, anaweza tuelezea vizuri sana. Miguda, asante sana. Unajua jana kulikuwa na mazishi pale Malava, na viongozi kutoka eneo la Western Kenya, they were there. Honorable Musalia Madavadi was there, Wetangula, and other leaders from Western Kenya. Malala also attended the burial. But there's incidences that took place, and one of the incidences that I want to, before we go and discuss whether President William Ruto is sure of consolidating Mount Kenya, not Mount Kenya, consolidating Western Kenya, bearing in mind we have Wetangula and Madavadi, and now they are working with the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga. If that one can make them consolidate Mount Kenya, so that when the voting comes for 2027, then he is well assured of the votes. So something that I want to talk about, especially respecting the dead, or respecting the day that somebody is given the last respect. Malala was there, and before we go to what Malala said, but there's something that happened, especially immediately after speaking, he stepped aside, or where his car was, he started to play the loud music based on what people are saying. And people are saying that this was a one way in which to disrupt the meeting that was going on, the burial meeting that was going on. And this was not a political rally. What do you say about that?
That is being arrogant as a leader, because you don't respect the people who have come out to bury one of their person. When people have actually assembled in a funeral, we have dignitaries, and also we have people who have come to pay last respect, they have stated, the deceased. And traditionally, whenever there is an African burial, we perceive that to be the last respect, and also there are some cultural practices. It's one of the customs whereby people usually respect the dead, and in some circumstances, things like violence, things like talking bad about the dead are prohibited. And when people were gathering to give the dead the befitting send-off, then as a leader who should be responsible, who should watch on his action, what he's doing and what he's saying.
Yeah.
Of course, he was right, because he has a right to express himself. And when the people try to switch off the microphone, he had a backup. That one is, we support his freedom of expression.
Yeah.
That he must express himself, whatever circumstances. Even when they are putting gun on his head, he must express himself. But the fact that people, after he was allowed, then also playing loud music, first it was interfering with the people, then it was interfering with the program, it was interfering with the family, because they had the funeral program.
Yeah.
And in the funeral program, there was no where they wrote that at this particular point, we will be playing music or we will be disturbing the funeral. So I think that one is not good.
Yeah.
He's arrogant.
Yeah. I agree with you, because that one is kind of arrogancy, because sometimes it is a common sense. Even if you disagree with the leadership of Musalia Mudavadi, leadership of Moses Wetangula, but remember, this is not a political rally. I know issues like that, you can do them in a political rally whereby you want to disrupt your opponent. But remember, this is a burial. The family members also are I agree. They should have tried to shut Malala down if themselves were talking politics just because he started talking. Not they try to sell the public. Yes, I agree with you, Mato. But like, where I need to call Malala out was playing loud music. That's where the problem is, my brother. Playing loud music. Even you, I think personally, if the family immediately after being given the opportunity, he spoke, which we are going to talk about his speech, what he made, and even switching off the mic for him. And luckily enough, he had a backup. That we are going to talk about it. But now, when you're looking at a situation whereby after speaking, because the news says immediately after he spoke, he turned on loud music when the funeral service was still going on. Yeah, that's where now we are looking, and I say that I think that was not okay to do that, because you had to give the family respect that they deserve. My opinion is that, yeah. And remember, during at that burial, there were also students. Remember, he was a teacher. I think like he resigned few days ago when he got interested in Malava seat, and the students also were there. So, but I think that one was disruptive in my own thinking. Uh, and I think, to me, I would say that Malala did not do good. That's what I think. It was not something that we, especially we would expect from a leader, to disrupt the funeral or to make it uncomfortable by playing loud music while the funeral service is still on. That is my opinion, Miguda.
It was out of order.
Yeah.
That, like I've told you, that we do respect the dead, and as our custom, there are things that when you try to practice them into the funeral, it's like you are showing disrespect to the family of the deceased. At the same time, you are showing respect to the dead. And as a leader, that matter. You ought not to have done that, or you ought not to have instructed the people who are praying music to do so, because they have a duty to ensure that it respects the people, it respects the family, it respects its fellow leaders, and also it respects the dead. And we have many places to play loud music. You can go to club, you can play loud music on the political rally, but not in the funeral. That one it was contrary to the program of the family.
Okay, and and this is what I think. Maru said that they shouldn't have tried to shut Malala if themselves were talking about politics just because they started talking of the. Yeah, I agree with you. But remember, even after switching off the mic for Malala, and Malala had a backup, if I was Malala, even to kind of like show the maturity, I would have not played that music because I've already won in the first round. Yeah, you won in the first round. And how did you win? You win because you were speaking to the people. The crowd was very receptive to you. Then what are you doing after that? Because like from all indication, Malala won. Yeah, because the things that Malala was speaking were receptive to the crowd, and you'd hear the crowd, how the crowd was responding to Malala. But now, after winning that, then you go and start to play loud music as the process is going on. Then that one, I don't think that you lowered yourself again after getting that score. So you find that that one will take the sentences. And remember, you're doing this, and you know that the by election is coming. How then do you expect even the family members of the bereaved, the family members of the person who was being given a send off, for them to come maybe to vote for your candidate if you did not respect their funeral services or respect their dead. When they're paying their last respect to their loved one, you did not show them respect. What then? Because like it's all about number of votes, and even that's why Malala was doing like that, because like he knew that that place there's a by-election coming, and I have to do everything possible to appeal to the people. So to me, I would say Malala, that was not in order. I wish you could have not done that. But anyway, that's how politics is. Now, Mr. Migud, I think you had an opportunity to interact with what Malala said. And Malala really attacked Wetangula. And he talked about the accusation that the president made on the parliament about receiving 10 million. And he told Wetangula that you are the head of legislative and you have to call out or name those MPs who took the 10 million, and if you don't name them, then you are the person to be blamed. You have now to take accountability and the transparency. Was Malala in order to say that in the funeral?
I still think that based on that statement, it was out of order still, because he who alleges must prove. In the context, it is the president who alleged that members of parliament are corrupt. Wetangula did not allege. So it is not up to Wetangula to name the people who are corrupt. It is up to William Ruto to name people of corrupt, because he's the person who has alleged. I think that one, he went too far, or maybe it was political, to just make people, to share the crowd or make people happy. But in the real context, it is not up to Wetangula to prove or to mention the names. The burden of proof is shifted to Mr. President. Like I've told you, he who allege must prove. So Wetangula has got absolutely no any role to mention the names of members of parliament, because just like any other member of parliament, he never said, never alleged.
But now he's the head of the legislative. So, and his house, where he's heading, has been mentioned as extorting money, or extortion, especially from the executive. And this is said by the head of the executives himself. But now, the same time, that house represents the people who, among them, were in the barrio. Could it also be in order even for Moses Wetangula to say that, okay, I know it was something that had been said, but we are still taking up, we are still waiting for investigation. When the investigation will be over, or if he has initiated any investigation to probe the allegation made by the president as the head of executive, to make assurance to the people who were there.
What if Wetangula is the person who was being accused? What if Wetangula was the person who was being accused? Maybe. So by him admitting, there'll be admissibility. And I don't think Wetangula can admit, because just like another person, he is presumed innocent. Even members of parliament, the presumption of innocent until contrary is proven is applicable to everybody. So even if Mr. President has accused them of bribery, they are presumed to be innocent. It's up to the accuser to prove the allegation. As for them, their duty is to defend their stand. They are innocent until contrary is proven. That's why I think Wetangula still don't have any duty to assist the accuser to prove. How do we assist the accuser to prove his case? Because he's the person who was approved, who was alleged. Let him prove. as the head of the house, like you have stated, he has a duty also to defend the members of his house.
Yeah.
That's why he has come out sometimes defending the parliament. But now, by him agreeing with president that they are corrupt, he will
Yeah.
be impeached. He will be impeached tomorrow because they are the people who have that duty to put him in that seat. So I
Yeah.
think because members have denied
Mhm.
that they are not corrupt,
Yeah.
so it's up to him also to assist them defend their position, but
Yeah.
not to continue alleging. Because if you continue alleging the next business day on Tuesday,
Mhm.
first business of the day, order paper number one, impeachment of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Wetangula.
Yeah.
And you know you cannot do anything if they decide to impeach you because they have number and
Yeah.
they are the people who have employed you. Like
Mm.
Speaker is not appointed;
Yeah.
he's being elected by the members of Parliament, and they can impeach him within a millisecond. So I think Wetangula has got no duty to prove that they are corrupt, but he has a duty to ensure that he defend. Because like if someone has alleged,
Mhm.
if you agree with the allegations, like you are assisting him in his case, let him
Yeah.
struggle with this case to prove. That's up to him.
Mm. Okay. Now, if you listen to Moses Wetangula's speech, he was talking about we are here to give direction to our people. And when you look at you're here to give direction for your people, he has always been in the helm or in the rim of leadership of of Western Kenya. So, what direction was he talking about? You know.
Wetangula was talking about first, he was talking about that him is a principal in that region, is
Yeah.
a leader, and the direction is going to give the people. He want to give the people a way forward in 2027 elections or in the
Yeah.
forthcoming election. That as for them, they are like their leaders, they have decided to work with William Ruto. Or as their leaders, they have decided to support candidate X in the forthcoming by-election. I
Mm.
think that's the role he was trying to play because from time memorial, he has been giving directions. The other time he gave them in code to vote
Yeah.
for Raila, in
Yeah.
NASA to vote for Raila, then in Kenya Kwanza to vote for Ruto. So I think he was speaking to his supporters.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want people to have a divergent opinion. He just want to be the ultimate leader who gives direction. That
Oh.
whatever he's saying should be final. And anyone with the contrary opinion should be treated as not the position of the leaders of that region. I think that's what he meant.
But now, when you look at the situation, especially when he spoke, and when he spoke, when you look at the two speeches and the response, especially from the public, when Malala spoke and Moses Wetangula did the same, the reception was kind of like different. You find that the one for Malala, the people were very receptive and the crowd cheered Malala, which means they're very happy about what Malala was saying, because Malala talked about SHA. He talked about an hospital in Kakamega, St. Mary, that has been closed, but the mortuary is working. So, all that, you know, that Malala raised, and the people were were cheering that, the mourners were cheering that. And Moses Wetangula, maybe because how he was speaking, should this one worry even the president himself, that maybe I need to come up with new strategies, because like you find like when people are talking about issues that things like SHA, they tend to get like that receptive.
It should worry him because first, Malala was playing to the gallery. And
Mm.
Malala, he spoke against the administration of William Ruto. And he pointed out things like the programs of William Ruto.
Mm.
And people tend to buy whatever he was saying. So it's high time for the head of state to ensure that whenever he's having any program, he's either going to streamline them to ensure that people, to make them popular. Because whenever Wetangula was speaking about retaining the status quo, people were bored about the retention of the status quo.
Yeah.
That's why to me it should worry because that gathering, you cannot ignore it. If people can applaud Malala for talking about the issue of drugs and staffs in the hospital, and also the issue of Mr. President pointing out issues to do with the manifesto which are being implemented right now. And you find people like Wetangula come to defend the same, but they're receiving negative reaction from the ground.
Yep.
To me, I believe that it's high time to change. Because there are people who are, maybe I can say Malala has been on the ground, he has been moving, but Wetangula has been in Nairobi, then all of a sudden he appears in a funeral, expecting people to listen to him, expecting people to align with the thoughts of the administration. But the person who has been engaging the people, trying to give civic education, trying to enlighten people about the SHA things, has given a positive reaction. So to me, I just say it's high time for them to hit the ground and let them not concentrate in Mount Kenya, because like they have shifted their focus that they must divide Mount Kenya come what may. But they are forgetting there are other regions whereby people are getting inroads and people are getting to be familiar with the likes of Cleoma, Malala, the likes of Natembea, because they have been the people on the ground trying to enlighten the people. So I think even people try to give examples to Raila. Raila is a different person or different league. Raila can go to that Western and still command votes, unlike these people. Remember, Wetangula also want just to relax that he is a Ford Kenya party leader, as a speaker. People just follow him blindly. No, some people will stick out from your camp. Try to always maintain your base, because Raila can make some leaders outside the Luo Nyanza, because even the current governor of Musalia Madavadi is an ODM, and he commands section of Western Province. Unlike Mudavadi, unlike Wetangula. Wetangula outside Mngoma, Wetangula is nobody. Mudavadi, even in his own ward, the MCS was not in ANC, the party which was abolished. So to me, I can just say it's high time for them to realize that there are leaders who are talented and gifted. They don't need to work extra hard to get votes.
Yeah.
But there are people who must work extra hard and always do training for them to be accorded with such receptions.
Okay, thank you so much. We are having Nets. Nets, how are you doing, sir?
It's been a long time. How you guys doing?
We are doing great. Where have you been and what has been going on?
Not much, life has its own ups and downs, and people get busy to doing some things and some, here and there. I'm sorry I haven't been in the channel for a while, but it's good to see you. And I like what you guys are having the conversation. Today it's just that nimekwambia nakuja kuchoma. I just don't agree with some of the things that you guys are talking about. That's what pulled me in here.
Okay, no problem. You will just let us know. Then we can, because we were just talking about before we go to the main issue where Malala, his mic was switched off, and luckily enough Malala had his backup. But immediately after he had his opportunity to speak to the mourners, what happened was he turned on his loud music when the funeral services was still going on, So that's what we are trying to look at, the character or the situation. Did he do good, especially, or he did bad? That's what we are saying. So in your opinion, what do you think?
So, in my opinion, I actually watched that thing. Yeah. Number one, let me just start with don't do's before I go to the do's.
Okay.
The don't do's is that yes, I agree with you, brother Benson, and the panelists that now playing the music, that's a no in a funeral.
Yeah.
I've been in a funeral where I've heard politicians, and I almost told them off because we are coming for a funeral. We are not coming to talk. this whatever political nonsense and that. And that is a norm that has been happening in Kenya. And I feel very bad when a politician goes to a funeral and starts talking politics in that funeral. You've been invited there. In fact, I don't even like, let me tell you, I was in a funeral and that is very personal to me. Let me just say, it was my dad's funeral where that even the priest was letting them have the front seat. And as the family, we sit on the back. I mean, the second seat, before the politicians, like they even knew that person. And I feel it very unbecoming in the Kenyan, I don't know, system. So that really hurts me. Like I promised myself the next time someone who's close to me will ever maybe have a funeral, God forbid, I will not let any politician sit in the front. They will sit in the back. Even church services, they're sitting in the front and they're giving the mic. What are you doing? I mean, so for that one, first of all, yes, I agree. It's all rotten in the first place. And Malala playing the music on a funeral, that was wrong. That one I will not accept.
Okay.
But here comes the semantics, my brother. These guys started the politics. He got the microphone. He started talking. They shut down his microphone. Luckily, he had alikuwa meji nini. I mean, why you shutting? Was it Mvuri or whatever? Why you shutting? Because he started talking of Moses Wetangula and Musalia Madavadi. So they started talking. So they don't want to hear any kind of.
Sevula.
Was it Sefula? Okay, thank you. Thank you for correcting me that. Yeah, because they don't want to hear anything that attacks anyone in the government. For how long are we going to be muzzled to not talk about people in government? Now, listen.
Yeah.
This guy, I've not liked him because he went into UDA. He was talking nonsense. He was not listening to people. I think sasa ameokoka, but hata kama ameokoka, still, these are the things that people have to hear, and these are the things that Kenyans are pushing for. So when you hear someone coming into a stage and saying what you wanted to say, or what you want to say, and that's why the crowd was so highly moved by him, is because these are the things that we are muzzled by the government. They don't want us to talk anything. Ukiongea hivi unangolewa. You've seen even someone like Babu Owino, when he goes somewhere anaongea, you can see someone anakuja na we maliza. Or even Gen Zs. Some of the Gen Zs that are really bold, they go somewhere akianza kuongea kitu inakaa ni kama inaguza gava, anakuja anatolewa, they get moved out, haraka. We cannot be muzzled. Me, that's the only place I really, Brother Benson, with all due respect, that's why I support Malala, because he refused to be muzzled, because that's what they do. They just want to say, for you to come and give kudos and whatever and say things, and then eventually these things are not working. Look at the Shah and all that. I mean, he's talking about the truth. That is what they're also doing to Gachagua. Not the fact that we love Gachagua, but at least he's saying the truth. Once he wants to say the truth, then it becomes a problem. Mr. Benson, when you're saying the truth here, watakusimamisha wakwambie we usiongee hivyo. You see, so basically this discussion has to be had, Brother Benson, and that's why I love your channel and I love what you do.
Oh, okay, I agree with you, because especially when it comes to getting the right information to people. And as a politician or as a leader, actually the leaders who are there, such as Moses Wetangula and Madavadi, they could have picked from the people, because when you listen or when you watch their speeches, it was so dry. Nobody was even they did not have that reception. But when Malala came and talked about the issue of the Shah, because this is something in the public domain until right now, there's no concrete maybe message that has been relayed that can convince any other person that the hospitals that were being paid. I saw the other day there was a gazettement of hospitals that have been degazetted, that received money fraudulently. That was there, and this one also tells you about the interest. And something that's quite much interesting is about Musalia Mudavadi, where he was talking about Malala, President William, the person that you were disagreeing with, facilitated. And maybe if to remind Musalia Mudavadi that politics is about transactional. When Malala was working with the president, he had an agenda. There's a transaction. I don't think like the president just decided to build that house without Malala returning a favor. There's a way in which that house was built and there was a favor that was returned. Because to be sincere, Malala worked very hard to bring Madavadi to UDA. You know that, the coalition. Yeah?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So that was something that I hope the Prime Minister was forgetting. That for him even to be in the Kenya Kwanza, it was through effort of Malala that negotiated all the way. So he has to know that politics is transactional. So I really don't buy what he was saying as a leader, knowing very well the background, what happened in the ANC to the time they come to Kenya Kwanza. I think at least he lost it. And something that also Malala pointed out on the Prime Cabinet Secretary, there was 1,000. Was it 1,000? I wrote it somewhere here. It was around 1,000 meters of roads that it was supposed to be done. 1,000 kilometers of road that was supposed to be done by the president. I think this was the agreement that they had if they take power. So Malala was trying to ask him whether that the roads have been done. Maybe what is your take on that, on the response of Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula?
Yes, I think my response to that, I'm gonna veer away a little bit, but I'll still be on the point.
Yeah.
The thing is that I think we've normalized politics to be kind of regional kind of way of looking at things in Kenya, and it's become like something that is people are not really getting. Just to hit my point home, people are not understanding, especially the people who have been the oligarchs in the political chairs. They're not understanding that the politics that they used to know is not the politics that we are in right now. It's a merit-based politic kind of way of doing, and maybe happened to Kina Malala, they've been baptized. They're starting to understand that. No one is listening to what deal we made, because you can make a deal with your own government. Your government is supposed to serve everybody equally. However, it's a public service vehicle. And the young generation, the you, the me's, have already gotten into that understanding. So when you come and start talking about the Mulembe nation got what, or made a deal of what, the Luya nations, the Luo nation, the Kamba nation, that thing is not resonating with anyone as we speak, my brothers. It's gone. That thing is not, it's not there. That's why even Raila Odinga right now, nobody cares whatever he says. He can go and say Katiba, whatever, we need to change the Katiba and whatever, and no one cares. Ruto can come and say the Kalenjins, whatever we got. Nobody cares about that. We need public service. So, and that's what some of the people, the oligarchs, the people who have been in the politics, the smart ones are starting to understand that country has moved. So whatever Musalia is saying, those roads, we don't care. Why don't you take those roads in Ukambani or in Garissa? Why Mulembe? Because you come from Mulembe. We're done with that, Brother Benson.
And that's now what I was telling you earlier, that what if you look at what Malala said about even the 1,000 kilometers of road, it tells you that the politics is transactional. That for me to give you 100 kilometers of road, there's something that you have to give me in return. And as you talk, that the generation, the larger population that we have today, are not into maybe the negotiated or the transactional politics. I, do you have that 100% that it is going to be that way?
I honest to God, and remember me. Remember this conversation, me and you.
Yeah.
I am 120%, if that's even a number. I know it's not a number because it has to be 100. I am 120%. Kabisa. Ile, Brother Benson, let me tell you, you watch this, how it's coming. They are gonna hakuna mtu atabaki your transactional kind of way of politics anymore. Kwanza those ones that have that is our people, my people, nini, you're gonna be a public servant. Coming next elections, either 2016 or 2017, because we still have a case wanting to understand if it's 2016 or 2017. However, they will go, what wanakanyaga kubwa kubwa, and there's not going to be this thing of Amaluo, so the Luo land gets something, or Amakamba, so the Kamba gets something. There's not going to be that. We're going to have public servants, and we're going to make it a very expensive affair to be in politics.
Okay, before I bring in Miguda, because like you are now a candidate that I want to engage, because I know it's something that we've spoken about here for quite some time, ever since the pronouncement was made. And talking about the other day, it was a Katiba day, and the leaders were giving their opinion based on the Katiba that we've had for all those years. But along the way, the Right Honorable Prime Minister mentioned something, that Kenya is too small to have 47 counties. And what does that one mean? And there was also something that he alluded, that we have to go to referendum. And remember, in going to referendum, if you're very keen about the journey of referendum, one of the things that have always been on the list is the positions. That has always been on the list. It was with the BBI, because we were headed there. And when you saw the NADCO too, there was that element of position in it. And now we are calling for referendum, and we are saying that, okay, these 47 counties are too many for Kenya. Then we need to think of creating regional tiers. What is your take as a Kenyan, without political affiliation? What is your take, that you're now a Kenyan who has been given an opportunity maybe to look at it on your own perspective, and you say that which is the best way forward, or which is the solution that we can run to?
Honestly, I know I fell out with Raila because of saliti yake and whatever he did. But what do they say? Mgala mpe yake, whatever. On this one, we've been saying this thing for a very long time, and I know, Benson, you've been hearing us in a political analyst channels, all of them, even in our city channels. Raila is right on that. He's spot on. I just don't know kwa nini now he anataka kuisema saizi, maybe to get a clout back, but whatever he wants to, whatever the reasons are, he's right on. Number one, Benson, you were here when we were complaining about what does the women rep do?
Yes.
What is the job of a woman rep? Why do we have to have 47 counties? And remember, we still have even. Let me break it down to you. You have the Ministry of Agriculture in the national government.
Yeah.
Then you have a Ministry of Agriculture in the county government. In the national government, there's a prime secretary, a secretary of that minister there. In the county government, there's also a county there. We are looking at the 47.
Yes.
But it's not 47. It's not. It's way more than that. Because you're paying on the county, you're a governor, start with the governor, you have a minister of agriculture, you have a minister of livestock, you have a minister of what, and they have secretaries and everything and all that. Why do we need to have once you calculate that, you understand why Kenya does not have money and why it's all messed up. Kuna wadosi wengine, yani, it's just a mess up. So, yes, we need to reconsider that constitution, and we need to reconsider the constitutional offices that are there, because we even have ghost offices and unconstitutional offices that they are there, and we are doubling or tripling down on the same mandate of what needs to be done as a public servant or public service. When you just niangalilie nani Benson, niambie, nimesema tu agriculture peke yake. How many offices of agriculture do we have? Just offices, not institutions. Offices from top to down. And when Raila says that tire, yes, I agree with him. Of that one, I agree with him. I don't agree with Raila in many things after he did whatever he wanted to do. But yes, we need to reconsider that thing, and people need to stop living their living their private practices to go into the government. What is this you're going into the government into if you're not going to serve? So yes, we need to tone it down, Wana. It's too much.
Okay, thank you. And just hold on for me. Miguda, as we create these tires, because bearing in mind that there are these positions, are we going to abolish some of the positions, especially, I don't know how it will work though, but are we going to abolish some of the positions like what Dates was talking about, the duplication of roles, where you have the agriculture, you still have it in the county, that duplication. Are we going to abolish that and come up with a strategy or a process that is going to be lean and effective, Mr. Miguda?
I don't think it might look popular, or it might look that is a people-centered idea, but I have some issues, because it talks about the issue of reducing 47 counties maybe to 8. Not that I'm supporting this one, I'm supporting this one, because we have also tried to argue that if it's 47, then it should be dispersed from 15%, maybe 35%, because that money is too little to serve the counties. So I think we should not focus on the issue of regionalism, but let us look at it entirely, because there are some proposals coming with it. There's a proposal about the structure of the executive expansion. If they want to expand the executive, they must go for referendum. And for you to make referendum popular, you must bring regionalism, you want to abolish GCDF. So it looks more of a people-centered idea, more of popular for people to pass, but bearing back in mind that you're gonna amend the structure of the executive, whereby you're gonna introduce the prime minister, the deputy prime ministers, the official opposition, the deputy official opposition. That's how I'm looking at it. But if there is any mechanism that is gonna work effectively with the people, we'll amend the constitution. But amending it, bearing in mind that we are going to increase some position for individuals, that's where I have a point of departure. But the proposals must be inclusive for the people of Kenya, not for leaders alone, the executive structure. And if it's a matter of regionalism, let them increase funds to the counties and deny MPs and CDF what they were proposing. What was then the BBI? The difference has not changed that they are reducing it to 8, but in the BBI initially the idea was increase the disbursement from 15 to 35, so that maybe 55 remain at the national government, or maybe 65 instead of 85. But there was also increasement of 17 constituencies in Central Province, which people were opposed. People like Otidamolo opposed, Orengo opposed that. Why do we add a region 17 constituencies and we are not going to get the presidency the way he was saying? And actually, they never got the presidency. Raila was never declared. Ruto was declared. Raila was never declared because they say, okay, let us just amend it. Then when Raila becomes the president, we'll change things. But now Raila never become the president. So today we could have 70 constituencies central, but other parts of the country have not got constituency. So the people of Mount Kenya are going to having sole majority in parliament to an extent that they have to produce a powerful prime minister, head of government. That's what all wanted to be by that time. So all done and said, that's under the bridge. Currently, the new proposal is reduce the 47 to 8 regionalism, but the structure of the executive has not changed. The same way we had that structure in the BBI, the same way we have this structure in the Raila proposal, new amendments. So I think that's where we must sit down as a country and agree.
Miguda.
Let us not forget the.
Miguda.
Yeah, I'm getting you.
Let me just engage you in just as something here. And Brother Benson, sorry, but just kidogo too. You see, the thing that I've come to understand, I mean, to see with the Kenyan politics is that regionalism is actually based on politics. It's not based on what the region is all about. I will give you just an example so you can rebut on me. You see, like and I've lived in this country that I'm talking about. Let me just talk about, because I don't know why people like talking about America sana and wanting to relate it, because I think we should have our own culture and our own doing thing without relating to America. But for this reason, let me do this. You see, for anyone that has a computer right now, you can Google and you'll find Kansas is way bigger than the whole of Kansas is way bigger than Kenya. It has one governor. Texas is also and has one governor. But then here comes the catch. I'm just talking about, even let me add Michigan. You will find that when you look at Kansas, it's a region because it's called the sunflower land. There's a reason behind it, what it brings to, what it comes with. When you talk about Missouri, show me state. When you talk about Michigan, the Great Lakes. So there's a reason to it. But so that leaves the politics out of it. That's why even when people are doing campaigning out here, you never really see them. You don't even see them, But the thing is that in Kenya, it's about Mluya, nani who's popular, Mkikuyu, Mkamba. And that's the problem that we have, because our regionalism, even the constitution that we have, when we talk about devolution, we have nothing to talk about what actually that county does and what it is. So I am more, or we go back and we have 8 governors, like we used to have 8 constituencies. And then we go back and see the 3-tier, where now you go back and see these MCAs. I mean, they have Kakawad, Kakotuka, na Toshana hivi. Now let them now, uko chini, the governor, or, whatever we used to have, the 7 or 8, and then that takes down the amount of money we pay these people, but also brings to attention the pilferage of the finances. Because let me tell you guys, Kenya has a lot of money, and right now it's being targeted because of this cobalt that has been seen in Mepatikana. Everybody is running to them. Trump is even circling back now. He wants, because there's cobalt in Mepatikana tena. We have, I mean, we need not to be a third world country, and we need to get this thing straight. These countries like the US that watu wanapenda kuninia kuangalia constitution yao. If you look at them, kwanza police cannot arrest you ovyo like we do. So we need to move from a third world country, and unless we start making, making these people accountable, and the only way we can do that is, first of all, making the government very lean. So that way we can attack one to one. So you've seen the officer that killed, that was complaining about the guy who was gotten from Homa Bay, Nanito Nani, he's back to office. Because there's no one to account. There's no one to account. So everybody's, there's no system. We need to get a systematic place to be there. So Miguda, sorry, I know nimekutupia vitu mingi, but I know Brother Benson anakuagana time sana, so I'm trying to just throw it real quick. Unmute, Brother Benson.
Okay, let me unmute. Okay, you've raised, there are two things that you and Miguda have raised, especially Miguda has talked about structure. That is something that we need also to look into it. That is one. Secondly, we've talked about the regionalism when we're talking about the tiers, and we said that, okay, we are doing the tiers, let's merge them. And if we merge them, we are going to reduce the expenditure. And how do we reduce the expenditure? Because like now, when we were supposed to send maybe certain amount to 2 counties, now it is 3 counties, now is 1 county. So which means when we are sending the money that we are going to send, is even going to be more. Yeah. But now let's look at that and look at the structure. And we talk of autonomy. You've given us especially some examples of the states and how they work and what they are known for. But if you look at them keenly, they are autonomous. Yeah, the autonomous, which means that there's some decisions that they make by themselves. And when you look at our politics, especially when we are dealing with things to do with governance, the politics is usually the center stage, and like it is being done in the view that how am I going to benefit that if this one succeeded. And Be Good as given an example, whereby we were giving this because we are going to get it, and they're being put in place for enticement, but not for long term. So how can we reach in a conversation and we say that, okay, the idea that has been floated by Right Honorable Prime Minister is a very good idea. Then how we as a country, how can we now come into it without putting in politics in it, so that we look at what are we going to achieve 100 years? If the tier is changed, or the tier that Prime Minister is talking about is changed, it might be changed. And what about the structure? What are the structure that we're putting in place, Mr. Mato?
The thing is that, and Nani, Brother Benson and me good, and our viewers, the thing is that I came to, after being a very a good political student since my childhood. I grew up in a very political family, and I've learned this whole thing. Brother Benson, it just takes time to stop. Just stop and start. Just ask yourself, as Kenyans and even our viewers, stop at some point and ask yourself, what is politics? What are we doing? What do we want for our country? What is viable and what is not viable? And the moment we do that is the reason you can see some people are starting to say, especially the jittered lovers, are starting to kind of come back to their minds and think, this country, we need to really stop and have a breather and ask ourselves, what exactly, how do we do taxes? How do we demarcate everything? How do we have, what are we doing? I mean, even I think, Brother Benson, even at some point, we need to go back and look at our geographical, venye counties zimekatwa na nini. We need to go back and do that and also ask ourselves, bila politics, bila kwenda kutusiana kwa mic, bila kwenda kucheza mziki, bila kufanya nini, bila kuitana majina, if we can go back and have governance, and I believe that is what even Gen Zs and you were actually talking about, because bila hiyo kitu ingine kwenda kupiga kelele ati who's the loudest mouth and everything, and also have institutions that work. Look at EACC, Brother Benson, just pole, this thing of SHA, who broke it out? Unmute.
Okia Umtata started it.
No, but the latest yenye imekuja ikalipuka kabisa, who broke it out?
I'm not very sure.
It was the citizens themselves, some of us included.
Mm.
Now they are talking about it.
Mm. But you know, Mato, I know.
But the reason I've asked you that question is, just listen to this. Do we have a whole institution in Kenya that is mandated for that?
Yes.
Called?
The anti-corruption.
EACC, right?
Yeah.
But it was the people that actually went in and looked at it and brought it out. We have the one that if I were to kwanza, I don't even understand what it means. Hii kitu ya artistry, is it NCS or whatever, the one that you're not supposed, that limits your speaking kama umeongea matope towards the government. What is it? This is something, and people are getting money out of it. That's the leanness that we're trying to say. If EACC cannot work, if IPOA cannot even catch a police that killed someone, I mean, we need to start now, nonsense. SHAS, boo, NIC, yes, so many things that are not there, and we've left the parastatals. I hope that answers your question. We need to make it very lean and straight to the point and be a public service.
And that is what we were calling the structures that should be put in place. But you find that when it reaches a point where the structure should not be put, when the structures need to be put in place, sometimes you find that the political take the center stage. And you, Miguda,
Brother Benson, I just forgot something. You see, places like we compare with ourselves with them. FBI, that's federal. Normal police, that's state police, and they have jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kansas police cannot get you in whatever, in Michigan or whatever. I'm using those states for a purpose. And they make their own laws. There's laws that are in, let me just use Kisumu and whatever, and Machakos. Laws in Kisumu and Machakos.
Yeah.
Those laws need to be, the people who are there in those two counties cannot be used by the president that you wanatumiwa sijui rules from above, or someone in Nairobi is saying anything. They run themselves other than federal.
And Munet, that's now what I'm telling you, because the idea and the way even Miguda was saying that the idea that are being flouted are very good idea. And if you take a good and a clean picture and look at it, it works in the mind. But now, come to a situation whereby you're talking about even the policing. We are not autonomous. All our counties are not autonomous. That is something that we have to agree. They're not autonomous. They still share the same the laws that govern Machakos are the same laws that govern Kisumu. And you know, these are people from different geographical jurisdiction. Yeah. Because you can go, what you're saying, you can go to some states whereby they will tell you there's a speed limit.
Kenya have those laws anyway. Is there any laws unless when mtu mkubwa? That's the only law.
Yeah, because like even in the counties themselves, the counties do not have their own laws. The county, because this was supposed to be the government of their own. They were supposed to be autonomous. Yeah, they were supposed to be autonomous, whereby if to go with what it should be, that Kisumu County was supposed to have their own police that are being funded by them. Yeah, that takes that takes the investigation. Remember when, did you remember when there was this mass deportation, when the police from a certain state were not able to arrest, but now the federal had to send in, depending on the jurisdiction of that state. So that's where,
very clearly.
So that's where I'm talking about the structure. You know, as much as we are flouting this, but we don't talk about structure, you find that they will be flouted, but in them, you will find that a good idea will be coming. But behind that a good idea, there's a political motive that is behind it. Yeah. So that's where we sometimes go wrong. When the political ambition take the center stage of good ideas that are floated that can work, and the political side take the majority of the time, the majority of the portion.
It's just like Nani, brother Benson. It's just like that kijana, the Albert Ojuang. I mean, in all essence, there is no way. I mean, you can literally explain to me how he was gotten from Homa Bay and driven all the way to Nairobi to come and die in Nairobi. Where was the jurisdiction?
Yes, so that tells you how our counties are still not, they are not structured right to deal with some other issues. And you know, when you look at Miguda, I'm going to invite you because like I'm seeing even my time. When you look at how we look at devolution, you know, the only thing that we look at devolution, we look at the devolution and how money is going to go in the counties. That is our main focus. But there's so many other things that we should look at. It's not only the money. It should be the structure of leadership. How is that county being to be run? How is the police in that area working? How should, especially when it comes to a situation whereby if it could have been upgraded, whereby those who are by registering their cars, how are you going to register your car? Because like you are going to be in another county for 10 years. You need to have a plate for that county. And that's how the county can generate. But we also focus on the money that comes from the federal. We don't focus on what are we generating and what are we doing with what we've generated and how can we maximize on the losses. Maximize on the losses and see on how we can get the profit. How can we run the counties? How many times have we had the counties, some of them go pay the salary through the money that they've loaned from the bank as they wait the federal government to send, the national government to send money from them. Miguda, tell us about the structures.
Yeah, also about the structures, but now Matwas brought a very good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I can say Matwas got a very, very good idea, but it is not realistic on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And we have even cited the councils. Maybe it's a region of Sunflower. I don't know what they say, Michigan, the Lakes. But that one can be informed by the region and also the economic activity taking place in that region. But back here, on ground, very different. You find out that even the issues like I was trying to mention, the issue of 8 regions, they have the people in mind who are going to be the regional leaders in those 8 regions. They are amending it already, people in mind. Like, let me take you back a little bit. You understand, the 2010 Constitution, there was a debate by the ODM people that what if any other person becomes the president and we are having what is called presidential system, what are we going to do? Then the Raila's generals insisted that once Raila becomes the president, there's going to be equality with the presidential system. So there's no need of parliamentary system. But to date, Raila has been a victim of this presidential system. If he could have gone for the parliamentary system, after election, he could be even becoming the prime minister, the leader of the house or the government, or he could have been getting opposition. But now he has been a victim all along. So because they insisted on presidential system, bearing Raila in their mind, right now they are trying to bring the issue of regionalism. But they have the regional kingpins, and that is political. That is not economical. That is not even in terms of distribution of funds, even revenue collection. It is just being motivated politically. That's what I was trying to explain. But they are focusing on the structure, particularly the executive. Even if you say that it's going to be 3-tier, but the national one going to remain the autonomous, whereby it's going to control the regions, it's going to control the counties. But we have been insisting, and we have been also advocating that let it be independent. Independent in terms of even revenue collection, whereby if we find a criminal or in a certain jurisdiction, that one should not be used in the national government. It should remain in that county as one of the revenue which has been generated by that court. Yes. And we find out that right now, they still allocate from national government. But let's say if they allocate 50%, maybe they say 40 billion or 450 billion if the Senate pass the National Assembly. So if they allocate maybe 10 billion to Wajir County, 9 billion to Tetraveta, you still find out that if there were some pending bills and you have cleared pending bills and you have the balance, you must return that balance to the national government. That's what's happening. So you cannot make any progress. You are not independent. What is that financial independent? So I was like saying, when it comes to this issue of regionalism, it's a good idea. And it looks the way I've told you, it looks good. And they have given very good citation from the United States. But it's not the case here. Here, they are focusing on the structure, whereby they want to retain the national government. So if it's going to be 3-tier, but there is not that independency, and it's just to make people to assist them to amend the constitution because they want to go to the popular initiative, because you cannot touch that structure of executive through parliament. You must go to the people, and the only way to go to the people, that's why I was telling you about they are taking away NGCDF from parliament so that they control the people. This NGCDF is unconstitutional. Of course it is. We take it away from them. Then let us also bring regionalism, whereby there are 8 people and they are going to fund it. But remember, this time round, they are a bit clever. They have not touched anything to do with the judiciary. They have not, there's no, if you look at the proposals, they have not proposed anything to the judiciary, because the other time, they proposed about bringing ombudsman to be the head of the judiciary. And it was more of a cold war between the judiciary and the executive. So there is no judge could have allowed it from the High Court, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court. The BBI was shut down. But right now, they have also tried to say, okay, NGCDF is unconstitutional. So they are siding the judiciary, because it is the judiciary which declared it to be unconstitutional. So, okay, judiciary, we are with you people, we're supporting you. These things are unconstitutional, the parliament. So that they are like, so to me, it's like, I want to focus on, even if it's a good idea, which I agree, but are we going to be independent in those regions? What is the surety? And we are seeing that already in the executive, there is expansion of the structure. And look at the people in the limelight. Raila is coming from with ODM in his stronghold base. Ruto is currently the president.
Because I know you're very conversant on this, the judicial part of it. What does the Supreme Court do?
Supreme Court do in terms of? Kindly clarify.
Which cases do the Supreme Court take?
Okay, Supreme Court was established exclusively to hear and determine any petition, the dispute related to the presidential election petition. That is the primary role of the Supreme Court. But right now,
thank you. Because in other jurisdictions I've seen, Supreme Court is what does the amendments of the constitution of the country. But in Kenya, it seems like the Supreme Court is just about elections and petitions.
Okay.
Yeah. That one is correct, because in Kenya the amendments of the constitution, we have two ways. That is the parliamentary and the popular initiative, whereby if you want to touch structures like the parliament, if you want to touch structures like the executive, judiciary, or the public finance, you must go back to or if you want to touch Article 1, you must go back to the people for referendum. But there are some clauses and amendments can be done in parliament, like the acts. You have seen the Public Participation Act we are proposing, the alternative justice system. But when it comes to those significant structures, you must go to the people. That's why if you want to look at it
again, I asked when we are not doing okay, let me just rephrase this. But Miguda, this is for you, because I know you're very conversant with the law. But again, I go back and ask, and it's a rhetorical question so that people can understand what I'm asking. Again, if we are not having elections and there's no petitions, what does the Supreme Court do?
But okay, maybe before Miguda comes in, I think apart from, but we've seen some other cases that Supreme Court has really assisted in giving the interpretation. There's so many cases that have been taken to the Supreme Court.
Do we have one amendment that the Supreme Court has done in our Constitution? I see there's somebody else.
This is Papa. What happens, and this is what Miguda told you. Like for our case, the Supreme Court does not participate in the amendment of the Constitution, but they will give advisory on what should be done. And if you remember, even when they had the petition, especially the last petition, when the presidential petition, when the IBC commissioners were disagreeing, there are those who are saying, and I think they gave recommendations. So what usually happens is that when you look at our judicial system is that they make recommendation, and this recommendation, they should be sent back to Parliament to make those amendments. They just give, or me good, am I wrong?
Have they ever been made?
There are few that have been made. There's so many recommendations that has always been, especially sent to the Parliament. Especially, it's just like the Parliament has decided not to. Look at now talking about that. Look at the ruling that was made about the Constituency Development Fund. If it was declared unconstitutional, what could have followed is what? So the members of Parliament were supposed to align it according to the law, or find a way of how to make it to be constitutional.
So is it a decision-making body, or is it an advisory body? And how many times do they do in the 5-year term that they have?
you know, what usually, to me, I'm a layman, especially when it comes to law. Miguda might assist us, but this is what I think, especially when it comes to the Supreme Court. Apart from the presidential petition, there's also corporate cases that Supreme Court will always participate on. Yeah, but the things that are touching on the nation, especially, like, for instance, let's say, for instance, if the case of Rigathi Gachagua will go to the Supreme Court, yeah, because they believe that is a case that was touching on the executive, you know, in the event that they decide to nullify or give recommendation and tell you the next time this is what this and this and what you need to do. So if they give that recommendation, yeah, so what will happen is that the parliament has to pick those recommendations and work on them, because as we stand today, our constitution does not allow them to amend the laws like other jurisdictions, like the ones in other areas. Ours, the constitution has not given them that power because it was formed as a political court.
My point exactly. So it's a political court. It's not a court. It's not a jurisdictional or anything. But anyway, Brother Benson, I see someone, Miguda amekimbia kidogo because I think ameenda ku-research. Kuna jamaa ameingia hapa.
Papa Fololo, na sasa Papa Fololo anaingia late kama mimi natoka. Papa, hebu tusalimie before nitoke.
Bogate, jili hao. Babetu bana mukora, banasema nini bana mukora? Banasema ba constitutional banaleta shida.
Banakwenda Kongo re.
Mkenya mkora anakudanganya nini hapa?
let me look if Makobura is around, then I can because he can, let me see. If not,
what is Mkenya mkora lying to you here, Mato? Mato anakudanganya nini?
Mato ako na mambo mingi hapa.
Wewe Mkongore, unajua wewe tutakudeport uende Kongo.
Bana pesa mingi Kongole, bana mimi pata gold kule bana mimi nunua nyumba 3 bana huku Kenya Kilimani.
Wash tunakujua, tushakupata. Nyinyi ndio watu wa wash huku, mnatuwoshi huku Kongore, mumetuletea Nairobi Kilimani.
Bana sisi tutakuja hapa kusema bana tutam sisi bana Ruto kuendelea na kazi bana sisi hataki kitu kingine hapa, tunataka bana Ruto tutam.
Tutam tutawarudisha huko Kongo kwa misitu.
Mato and Joseph, would you mind if I request if we can have a show tomorrow morning?
What time?
We usually go at around 7 a.m. Kenyan time, between 7 to 8 a.m. Kenyan time.
I'm not working tomorrow, but I'll be having my daughter. But you can call me. So you have my number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lakini siwache nani Joseph hapa amenaiki Kongorezi yake kwanza marize.
Bana Miguda bana usemi kitu bana, nimekuja kusalimia wewe, unasema tu jeno moja bana, mimi nimekuja na goldi. Unajua mtu ananunua goldi bana Miguda?
Nataka gold, mimi ndio nataka gold.
Bana Wetangula bana tuonesha moto bana, tuuzia goldi bana, inakuwa mawe bana.
Wetangula alizima speaker ya Malala, yeye ni speaker of the National Assembly. Ulisikia jambo?
Niliona bana yeye taka kuzima speaker, lakini Malala bana kuwa na remote ingine bana, eka speaker ingine bana. Hii mambo moto bana.
Okay, let's do this. Give me like around, just be there for 15 minutes. If I reach a place, I will log it out.
Okay.
All right.
Bana huyu akajiwetagura mwenyewe. Ebu Joseph.
Papa Pololo, sasa ongea sasa.
Habari zenyu bwana, mandugu zangu. Nimepata Kenya Mkora akiongea hapa, sijaelewa ni nini mlikuwa mna discuss, lakini nimesikia Supreme Court ikiguzwa. Najua Supreme Court, those guys they are always political. They are apolitical, but I know Miguda is here, he can tell us about law. So, what was the true discussion, please, if somebody can help me?
No, you nailed it. You nailed it on the head, because that's what we were talking about. Why is the Supreme Court about the Constitution or about the amendments of the Constitution according to other jurisdictions, or is the Supreme Court strictly about what we call election or political petitions and all that? And then after the petitions are over, what do they do over the 5 years? That was the question, that was the burning question that was actually on the table.
For me, I think they only major in any political decision that is supposed to be taken by the Constitution. Like, for example, we saw the BBI. We have seen the electoral problems that we have been having. They're the ones who have been taking the cases. And I've also seen they are saying even the deputy, maybe it might end up there. So I think they always take political cases as such, because I've not seen, tell me any case that you have seen the Supreme Court sitting down and making decisions as for, because I think the only thing they do, they always interpret the Constitution according to the, they are, when we talk about judiciary, we always foresee of somebody called the Chief Justice with the legal bench of, I think, is it 6 or 7 people? And all of them, even the decisions sometimes they take, you can see sometimes they are always apolitical. So for me, if I'm asked, I can say that court is always apolitical. But starting from the appeal court, going down to the magistrate and the other ones, I think they're the ones who deal with. Even let me ask you a question. When you go for appeal, in case maybe it's manslaughter or something, you given another appeal to go to the Supreme Court. I highly doubt. I think it only ends in the appeal court, appellate court. So I don't think it can proceed to the Supreme Court. But our brother Miguda here is there. He can explain to us well.
I think we're talking about, now let me explain to Mato asks a very good question, that where does our amendments occur? Because you found that in some jurisdiction, amendments do occur in the Supreme Court. So that's why I asked about the issue of our Supreme Court. But it's very clear in our Constitution that in the Kenyan context, we can only amend our Constitution through 2 ways: parliamentary initiative and the popular initiative. And this way, I think Article 267, 268 talks about parliamentary and also popular initiative, whereby if you want to touch those structures, like I've said, the structures of government, like executive, judiciary, parliament, and even public finance, you must go to the people. You can't do it through parliament. But parliament also has a role whereby they statutory laws and also acts. And like I've told, the public participation, those other acts of parliament, they do amend the Constitution. If you go to court, you can argue about the Constitution provisions, and also there's an act of parliament that can support your argument in the court. So those are amendments. There are several amendments in the parliament, but for the structures, you must go to the people. So our Supreme Court does not do amendment. It deals with the dispute that is related to the presidential election petition, and also, like we have said, in the criminal, like a criminal case, if you have a criminal case, you go to High Court, then you can appeal in the Court of Appeal. Then I don't think you don't go to the Supreme Court again, because it ends there. And the original jurisdiction is the High Court. High Court is whereby we depend on that jurisdiction. But there are other cases like civil cases, civil matters. We have like defamation. People can move. People can appeal. But you also find out in terms of interpretation of the Constitution, whereby the High Court has tried to interpret, but the people are not dissatisfied. They can move to Court of Appeal. Then if they are not dissatisfied, they can move to Supreme Court. So Supreme Court is going to have the final say. So what Supreme Court has stated is final, and that marks the end of the appeal. And I just want to give you an example. You understand that in our Constitution, there's no abolishment of the death penalty, but in our penal code, there was this death penalty whereby if you commit capital offenses like treason, murder, manslaughter, the consequences used to be death. And that is why even people like Ochuka and the colleagues were hanged that time, because they were charged with treason. But because there was no provisions of abolition of death penalty in our Constitution, and we have the basic rights and fundamental freedoms. And one of the basic rights is the right to life. Now, how do we interpret right to life? People went to High Court, then people went to Court of Appeal. Then I think in 2017, if I'm not wrong, there was an opinion by the Supreme Court that abolished the death penalty. Now that right to life has been supported by the Act, it originated from the Parliament, then it went to High Court, then Court of Appeal, then Supreme Court. So right now, if anybody commit crime like treason, manslaughter, murder, the consequences is not death. The consequences might be life imprisonment, or maybe you can be taken, maybe I think 100+ years. By that time, we assume you could be dead, so there's no need of hanging you, because our Constitution supports that right to life. I think they do interpretation whereby the lower courts, if people have not dissatisfied the lower courts, we move to Supreme Court for further interpretation. Because let me give you the example of BBI. The High Court pronounced itself very clearly, the same way in Court of Appeal. But you understand the Defense Council also moved to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court there, it was final. So you cannot move to any court. It's final, and it binds all other subordinate court. I think that is so it's quite different. You can't do amendment in the court. Amendment can only happen.
What's the day-to-day life of a Supreme Court judge?
Day-to-day life.
Yeah.
But you understand also, they are not only doing those functions. Supreme Court is working on a daily basis. And even right now, there are some cases in Supreme Court, because there are people also who have appealed to Supreme Court, these civil matters, and they are carrying out. And we have a link whereby we are being updated on the daily determination of the Supreme Court on a daily basis. So we do get every detailed judgment on various issues in the Supreme Court, like the Supreme Court photographer. If you know that guy usually update us. So there's a link whereby they usually forward those judgments. So Supreme Court is working on a daily basis, because they have a lot of variety of issues to undertake in this state.
Just hebu nisaidia hapa, because mi unajua nitachoma my friend here na staki anichukie. Just hebu nisaidie with the questions that we are talking about this Supreme Court thing. I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand. If there's just a political, then exactly what are we doing with them? I mean, I just don't get it. I've tried, but maybe today's atanifungua macho. Jose, do you have any question on this one?
No, I
We
think
have one of them.
Miguda is all well versed in constitutional matters and law matters, because I think he studies the law matters, so he's well versed. Mi mambo ya judicial, mi labda mniulize mambo ya Wetangula nitawajibu. Hiyo mambo ya kuzima mic.
Let me tell you one thing, Mato. Maybe you can understand from what I want to say. You know, initially we never had a Supreme Court before 20 Constitution. But during the Bomas draft, there was this provision, and each and every article in the Constitution, there is intention, and it was very deliberate. So there's no single article, there's no single word in that Constitution that has got no any intent or has got no history. So when people, and actually the person who proposed Supreme Court was Otinda Mola, because previously we had a post-election violence in 2007, 2008. People died. Kibaki was declared, he was sworn in. Kofi Annan came, mediation, prime minister, and whatever. So there was nowhere people could go. But because we understand that we are more of a paste in the Constitution, so we saw that in the United States of America, if there's any dispute that is related to the presidential election, they do go to Supreme Court. So that's why if you look at our Constitution, the judiciary, when you want to tackle the Supreme Court, the primary function exclusively dispute related to the office of the president, the essential election petition, they can deal with it. Then other roles come later, like interpretation, they have just told you, and also is the apex court in the land. So if there is any matter that cannot be resolved in the Court of Appeal, we are going to have a final decision at the Supreme Court. But purposely, it was to deal with if anybody is dissatisfied with the outcome of election. So we don't go to violence, we don't go to war, we don't go for mediations, we don't call other people. So we just deal it, resolve it here internally. And that's why we ended up with our Supreme Court. So because it's the apex court, we give some functions like interpretation, so other functions like if you are dissatisfied with the Court of Appeal, you are not limited. You can exhaust all the remedies. Like what Gashaga was saying, that until you exhaust all remedies, that is when you cannot buy. But as for now, it's viable candidate. I think that is the better. I think there's no better explanation of the role of the Supreme Court than what I've told you here from all sorts of citations. That's best.
Miguda, you are a straight lawyer. I mean, straight up lawyer. Yet you know how to run around. But I'll get you another day. It's fine. This one is not done. Hii hatujamaliza mina. We have a lot of questions for you. But I can hear Jose anasema anataka kuongea story ya watu kuzimiwa nini microphone. Miguda, don't go kabla nani arudi. Jose, ni nini unasema watu wamezimiwa microphone na Wetangula? Si Miguda, nani Jose?
Unanisikia?
Tunakusikia sasa. Hiyo story yako ya nini? Wacha hii ya constitution tuongee na Miguda. Hebu tuambie hapo wewe how you feel nani Malala. Jose, back to you. Miguda, can you hear him?
Jose, I can't hear you. Jose, are you speaking? Jose, funga mic.
Amejimute. Jose, unmute.
Amesema anafix internet yake, ameongea hapo kwa nini?
Okay. When it comes back, ebu endelee kitu yako ya nini, hii kitu yako ya legal, because I know you're more of a legal person. Ebu just continue.
So I that's what I was trying to explain to you, mambo na Supreme Court, and also in that Supreme Court, there is a composition of the judges. Like I said, we have the president. That president is the head of the judiciary. That's why we end up for that president seat. The president also is the Judicial Service Commission, and the president also he or she is the chief justice. So it's having three that very significant.
But let me ask you a question before Joseph fixes his mic. And just from the legal perspective and the constitutional perspective, as we all know that the Constitution is the covenant of how we live together. Can you give me one, not presidents that has been made by the Kenyan Constitution, which is the law? That's why we have the Supreme Court and all the courts. One amendment that is served as a precedence of our law in Kenya. I mean, and just to juggle your mind, I hate. Anyway, let me just use it. You guys know I hate, comparing Kenya with the United States or, other places. Like you can hear the First Amendment of the United States, the Fourth Amendment. You can hear these amendments and everything. Can you give me one precedence before nani Joseph Ngwe nini yake atuambie story ya the politics? Give me one precedence.
There's so many amendments have been done in Parliament in the form of acts. We haven't just done the referendum one since 2010 today. We haven't gone for a referendum. So there's another amendment which has been done by the Pope Initiative. But in terms of acts or statutory amendments, just one. When we had our constitution, we are doing the provision for county government. The constitution just for county governments, the government, the county assemblies. Now, there was amendment whereby in Parliament, the County Government Act. Right now, our county government are the County Government Act, whereby there are so many provisions the county. But by then, we just have a county government without any act. So I think that's just one of the amendment by Parliament, whereby they have actually make or shed more light into the county operation in terms of sections and in terms of the provisions of the County Government Act. That's one.
So, but that was through Parliamentary Act. It was not through judicial, which is what the Supreme Court was made of. That's my question. I'm not trying to put you on this.
We have to sit agree with you that amendments don't happen in the Supreme Court.
So is it law? Is it law once it comes from the Parliament, or is it law once it comes from the Supreme Court?
Once it comes from the Parliament as a law, so it goes to the President, the presidential assent. Once we have had the presidential assent, now it becomes a law, being accepted. So it's a law.
But then the Supreme Court has the power to overrun even a president. Am I right?
Yeah, Supreme Court can overrun because we had a law in Parliament in a certain duration of time. Then it's go for the presidential assent. When someone might have gone to court late, it's the process. It's up to court to declare like what happened. It's up to court to declare it unconstitutional. So that one Supreme Court can do. That's what we call interpretation, whereby the Parliament never make a good law in accordance with provision. Court has authority to actually outrule it.
Thank you. So this that was my point of thought, because yes, I know parliamentary laws are not final, because you can go and amend, you can go and appeal, or fight it. Not even appeal, because before you even get to the Court of Appeal, you have first of all to go to the court, and they do whatever they do, the constitutional thing. And yes, we know that the highest law maker in the country is not the parliament, is actually the Supreme Court. That's why I was asking you, what amendment or what cases have they ever done? That was my question. Hapo ndo nilikuwa nataka kujua, because I was doing some research somewhere and I realized that there's nothing the Supreme Court has done. And I went back and looked at even the constitution of the US, even Britain, through Margaret Thatcher and all that. And I saw so many amendments that have been done through all of them. But then with our own country, there's nothing that the Supreme Court has ever done other than, do the presidential something of the something and call us the wild goose chases and all that. So now you come and wonder, then how do they get paid, and how do they get paid over the 5 years before we have another presidential run? You know what I'm saying? And Jose is back. Jose, maybe nimeuliza my brother hapa maswali kubwa kwa sababu umepotea, but also I think Jose, I don't know, Miguda, do you want to answer that, and then we let Jose ask alikuwa anataka hizo vitu za kuzimiwa mic, because I want to answer him something too on that one.
Let me take maybe one minute or two, if it's more, to be very fast. I agree with you, Mato. You have taken too much to concentrate on the American Constitution, and just like you, I've also read about the amendments, and the most popular one is the 14th Amendment in the United States of America, and I've been reading a lot of articles from the jurists concerning about 14th Amendment, and that's what I don't know which state applied it to Trump before election, and actually I don't know how Trump managed to some level of the court.
It was Georgia.
Georgia. Actually, Georgia tried to use that 14th Amendment against Trump. So I agree with you that is in the United States of America, it's a bit old in history, and also the Constitution is a bit old compared to ours. Ours just, I think, 15 years down the line. And in terms of amendment, I can just tell you, we haven't had any proper amendment whereby people have decided to amend the Constitution. What we have had before is the parliamentary process, whereby most parliament have been trying to amend other sections just by providing other provisions which are inoperational. But the Supreme Court, I agree with you. Supreme Court only do interpretation, whereby they adjudicate. So they just look at if there was any if there was any illegality or irregularity in terms of lawmaking process. So that's where they are watching, so they can outrule the parliament process. But in terms of amendment, get it from me, we don't do amendments in our courts. That's where the difference is. Our amendments is provided in our constitution that for you to do amendment, you must go to parliament or popular. And what we are advocating for right now, the BBI was one of the popular one through referendum. And right now, the one Raila is talking about is through, just want the referendum to come because it's now. So I think we're going to have our, first amendment before we got into the 14th of June. It also depends on the age of the constitution. You understand? Unlike American, Kenya, we are still young in terms of even amendment. And that's why the Americans were used to advise us when Uhuru was the president, that do not touch your constitution, that you want to amend it within 10 years. What is it that has not worked for you people that you want to amend it? Why can't you buy time a little bit? So I think that's the difference. The amendment doesn't happen in the courts. Courts just do interpretation and maybe adjudication.
Thank you. Like I said, this is unfinished discussion, but I will finish it. Joseph, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry for the disturbance. It was the net, my net.
That's fine. All right. Ulikuwa unataka kutuuliza nini story ya Malala na Wetangula kuzimiwa microphone?
No, actually, I was not super happy because why does the speaker and is the speaker of the house does not want other people to talk? Na huko si bunge ama huko kumekuwa tena bunge ama atakuwa command watu bila na command watu bunge. Hawezi command watu bila ataka command kama kwake kule anapenda command watu si watoto. And I was very happy that Malala came with a microphone and his own things. I ashamed him. Hakumstop kutoka kuongea. I think that is what politicians needs to have. Unakuja na PA yao kama mtu hataki kusikia na wananchi wanataka kusikiza, wanafuzima yao unaendelea na yako. Because Kenyan politics has become disgraced, my friend. That's why you see things like that happen. You can see somebody switching off microphone of the other person. Just because it's criticizing what you don't want to hear. I think this government has become, I don't know what to say about them. They don't like to hear somebody criticizing them even a bit. Na hata kusema Ruto alikula chakula ikamwaribikia jana, unaweza sikia mtu anajaribu kusema nini.
Sasa unajua nimeingia hapa hivi nikiongea story, unajua kina Miguda na Benson wanawapeleka polepole. Unajua ati wanasema ni vibaya venye after hata alipata hiyo microphone yake sasa yake, it was bad that he played music after that. mi kwangu I thought that was in order. Mlikuwa mnataka kudizimia microphone kwa dini. Maybe Miguda will
the problem is nani ali-invite Malala? Because he was invited by somebody to that event. Because you cannot be given a mic to say something if you are not invited in an event. I always see people who are not invited hata upatiaje podium ya kuongea. So if they gave him a podium to talk, why then cut him off when he was trying to say something that is not lying well with you? I did not understand about that. Maybe Miguda has a different opinion from mine. Maybe I can hear from him.
I don't have any different opinion. I've said that Malala, because I think it was Savola. I don't know why, because I think they were in Kakamega. Savola is the deputy governor. I don't know why Savola was telling Malala that time is up. So must you tell people? So was he a timekeeper there? I don't know. But alifanya vizuri kuja na mic ingine. So by the time when they're dying him right to talk, akafinya. But I was just saying mambo ya kucheza muziki hapo ndio nilikuwa nimekataa na hiki kiasi, but lakini mambo na kuongea hapo na support
hapo kwa kuona muziki sikuona my brother, lakini niliona ile kitu ilikisanga ili happen Kericho County hiyo kisanga niliona. So that one about kupiga muziki sikufikia hapo, but I think also hiyo si order, piga muziki si in order. Ningesema kile anasema
Jesse venye alifanya ni after sasa amenyimwa mic, yeye akachukua mic yake akasema mimi nilikuwa nimejipanga, akaongea zake, alafu nao venye yeye alimaliza kuongea akaambia DJ wake, wewe cheza muziki bwana, distort this whole thing.
Hapo naweza katana na angepiga muziki, angeongea na amalize na waondoke. Because si lazima wasikize. Unajua kama mtu hataki kusikiza hata atasikiza tu, hata ukimchezea muziki. Mtu akisema hata sikiza. But mliona kile kili happen Kericho. That is what I was thinking also you talk about today. Such a disgrace.
Kericho, I don't know, maybe unaweza tuletea. Hebu tuambie.
I don't know if brother Biguda saw what happened in Kericho.
No, sijaona hiyo. What happened in Kericho?
You did not see the MCAs fighting?
I was concentrating on the Senate, so I never saw anything in the Kericho.
But they were fighting. Wameruania nguo huko mpaka wamama wanaoneshana suruali zao za ndani huko. It's very hiyo hata ukiona hiyo nini unaweza kasikia umekasirika.
Nitaiona.
You need to go and check at it. Walipigana huko wakatoana hata karibu watoane nguo, wanawake huko wanaonekana tu masuruali zao za white huko. Suruali ndefu.
Nitumie kwa WhatsApp yangu, si uko na WhatsApp yangu, hebu nitumie Diana, hiyo sijaona.
Hata ukiingia tu Facebook uandike Kericho County. Ingia tu Facebook
Ama
yako hapo huko.
iko TikTok. Iko TikTok ndio.
Hata TikTok sidhani iko kila pa. Andika tu Kericho County. Utaona ile kutabiri hapo. Bigude unacheka na walikuwa wanaona suruali za white, suruali chafu. This
I'll see. I must watch that one.
They fight, women were fighting, men were fighting. Men even sijui kama walikuwa wataka kudate huyo mama ama nini walikuwa wataka.
Simliambiwa na Feruza mjui kuosha. Simliambiwa na ule ni wa Tanzania mjui kuosha. Unaona ile ni wa Kenya wamerukia Tanzania, the Tanzanian socialite.
Sijui kama nitaangalia hapa nionyeshe na hii simu, acha niangalie.
Lakini Joseph uko na news moto hivyo. Ulitoa hiyo news.
Sio news iko kila pahali.
Angalia Kericho County.
Hata niko mjinga sasa, umetuletea news zingine bwana. Ungekuja mapema.
Hata nikuonesha, sijui iko hapa, nitakuonesha. Kericho County Assembly fight.
Watanzania watatuambia nini na venye tumeingilia msichana wao akituita akiambia msichana wetu hajui kuosha. Wewe
niliangalia hapo watu walikuwa wanasema ni Kericho County Assembly fight.
But why do the nyingine pia ilikuwa State House? Why do these women fight so much? Yani kwa either State House or sasa kama hiyo sasa
mama alikuwa amenyongo, ninaona mpaka na ndio hii. Mpaka wanashushiana mkono kwa mkono.
Shida ilikuwa nini?
Acha nione ile walikuwa wanatoana nguo niwaoneshe. Hiyo nini? Niwaoneshe. Nadhani kwa wengine walitoana nguo mato.
Shida ilikuwa nini? WhatsApp yangu. Migude, umeona hiyo video? Sijui kama Migude ameona. Alikuwa ametoka kidogo. Hebu mweke tena.
Acha niweke hii ilikuwa ile ilikuwa inaonyesha kila kitu. Mama akiangushwa.
Tutafungiwa
hapa. Tuone screen tuone.
Acha nione.
County imekuwa green. Kericho ni green.
It was very disgusting. Sijui kwa hiyo video wametoa manini. Kwani sioni hapa. Acha nione. Itakuwa tu hapa.
Hata brother Benson ona akichungulia ni kama amekuwa interested.
Ako hapo hata kuna media wake ilikuwa inaonyesha, ndio ninaangalia hapo pole. Give me pole. Acha niangalie. Ilikuwa tu hapa. Ni kama waliziondoa kwa main media.
Kenyan politics. Miguda, nini tutafanya na hii watu ya Kenya? What is it?
Kenyan politics.
Unaambiwa watu kwa show. Nani anasema muadu kwa show? Brother Benson.
Yeye kwa rights. Ama Miguda si unakuaga na rights.
Marco Bura kuna rights.
Marco Bura ndio ako nazo. Miss siko kwa rights size. I think niko nazo lakini siko kwa. I'm using my phone. Lakini si brother Benson anaweza jiongeza. Unless phone.
Hii siasa ya Kenya lazima tukomboe nchi. Lazima sisi tukomboe nchi. Sasa bit clear.
Naona.
Mbona
mama akitolewa siku?
Na bwana hao watu.
Ndio akitolewa suruali.
anapeleka story ya mwenzake wapi?
Waliweka mama vidole bwana.
Hata kupeleka hizo.
Hiyo video kwa nini hamna hiyo video bwana?
Na venye mimi nakuwa zikifika by then naenda kutafuta na kimsu
ni Kericho, adasi bitizembu ilikuwa inakaa Embu lakini ni Kericho. Brother Benson is here. Brother Benson. Yeah?
Tutachapa strike na YouTube.
Ulichapa? Tutachapa nini
Yeah.
Sawa, pole, sitacheza tena. Pole. I'm very sorry.
Delete tu sasa.
Sawa.
That is going to be a strike.
Yeah, that's why ni hao walikuwa ni I'll send to you guys nini kwa nini. Sorry.
Yeah, that I'm putting it on a private list right now.
Yeah. So utaitoa?
No, we have to close.
Brother Benson.
Yeah.
Brother Benson.
Yeah. Hello.
Brother Benson, ngoja kidogo.
Hello.
Kidogo tu.
Yeah.
Brother Daniel, I'm saying it's played by someone's phone. They will not strike you because because it's not been played by the channel. It's been played by a phone. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, if you go because I've been going to those trainings. Yeah. There's those training. There's those training that they usually take us through. Yeah.
Yeah. It will not affect you. We've been down this road with even our sister channels. As long as venye ameicheza kutoka tu kwa simu, you will not get hakuna kitu unaweza strike you about. So don't worry about it. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother Benson. I never knew that italeta shida. Sorry.
No, haitaleta shida, uko sawa. As long as unajua sasa kama ingekuwa ni mimi ama brother Benson tumeicheza directly, unajua ile iko connected, then you have a problem there. Lakini kama tu ni hiyo tu, anyway, there's nothing, it's just a fracas. Na kama ni phone, hakuna strike tutapata, hakuna. Don't worry about it, brother Benson. Yeah, we've done this so many times. Anyway, so hao walikuwa wanapigania nini?
Hata sikujua vizuri. Siku nini details kabisa because there was no details. I just saw the fighting and the ladies making sounds there. Naona wakipiga mayowe huko. And I think also it is been affected by this governor, no? Their governor is in the Senate. I don't know what happened. Was he impeached? Because I don't know what was the outcome.
But they're still in the trial. I think they're in the Senate trial.
Sindo, Miguda.
Bado kwa trial.
Oh, so I think it is about all this issue. About their
mambo na impeachment. The county is too hot. The county assembly is too hot.
So how many people voted for him to be impeached in the county assembly? I've now not followed about that Kericho story of the impeachment.
I think it was influenced by the big boy. So I think very much whereby to impeach it.
I also don't want to say this, but to answer your question, my brother, is that he got a 90% at the MCA level, but also now it's been either twisted or it is what it is. Needless taki kuituma. Do you know the name of the guy?
No, for the Kericho governor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know his name. Then what happened to the Bomet governor? Because I've seen he's in hot soup.
So to finish with the Kericho thing is that also the governor of Kericho is Aye, nichome. He's a Kikuyu.
Oh, so that's the issue.
People are saying that's the issue. I don't know if it's the issue, but I think it is the issue.
I was here Kikuyu.
What's his name?
Mutai.
Exactly.
Me about that one, I've not.
But when he was elected, he was never Kikuyu.
Actually?
When he was being elected, he was never Kikuyu. He just became a Kikuyu because of.
No, he was out to go keratene to kanu heruto. Things have changed, one.
Really, wow. You know, Karibu is my neighbor.
Subaru hapa kwangu.
Karibu is my neighboring county.
Yeah, so people are saying that's the issue.
So I did not know about Kericho. Me, the one I had focused on is Bomet, and Bomet, I've seen that guy is under fire. That one I know is under fire. That was just by the way the video, because I saw it there.
Yeah, there's like an issue going on in that KARIBU Valley somewhere. And even, you know, I wish we were not in a public, in a channel. I will tell you some things that I get Hakina Semanga Mimi, but I know they exist. You know, on a serious note, we need to stop this tribalism. Kabisa?
Yeah, it needs to be done.
Yeah, we need to stop it. Kabisa. And I'm liking how the Gen Z came up with it, and also the millennials jumped into it. And some of us in these public forums, we are actually shining it out, because there's kuna watu tu mina dhani tu wamebaki tu they have to be tribal and they have to be regional na nini, and for them to prosper in their things, especially the politicians, the wannabe politicians. We need to stop this. Joseph and Miguda and Benson, I think mimi nimechoka na kusikia tribalism. I don't care. Nimechoka. So this guy is being vindicated because he's a Kikuyu in Kericho. I mean, not vindicated, he's being crucified.
Ukabila ndio kuna shida kubwa, lakini sisi tulisema mambo ya ukabila, even though we try to advocate for tribeless country, but unapata wengine wakubwa wanatuambia you come from a certain tribe, bana. Of course we know we come from a certain tribe, but now they are trying to limit us, bana. You people don't talk about tribeless, you are coming from a certain tribe. Even if you are tribeless in a mwezi jenzi ya mwezi hizi vitu zenu, but that is the point. We should stop this thing called tribalism. Hata kama wao wanataka tukae tu watu wako tribal like them, but going forward as the next generation, we don't need to leave this country with these tribal feelings, because to me it doesn't make sense. Maybe that guy, you know, for you to be impeached, there are grounds for impeachment. Maybe gross violation of the constitution, gross misconduct, such things, or maybe corruption. But maybe he was never corrupt, or maybe he was never violated the constitution. But because of tribalism, someone just being impeached because of tribalism. Like what, you know, this
as you finish that statement, let me ask you, did you ever know who the Nini Kilamtu, did you guys ever know who was the governor of Kericho? He's been very quiet. How ingine wote tunawajuaga? How did he all of a sudden become unfit for Nini for office?
Mi sikuwa hata namjua, sikuwa hata namjua, bado ni karibu na kwetu, but sikuwa namjua. Na pia naweza sema hii mambo ya tribalism ni mbaya. Unapata wakati tulikuwa huko Moi University, unakumbuka wakati tulikuwa na vice chancellor alikuwa anaitwa Hero, alikuwa Mjaluo. Sasa hao wasee kina Sudi na marafiki zao wakasema haiwezekani. By that time Kikuyus were with Kalenjin, but look at now, it doesn't make sense, because today Luos are with the Kalenjins. Now there was no need of removing that Hero, because by then wakasema tunaki Mjaluo kwa hii eneo yetu, huyu ni vice chancellor Mjaluo, ondoka, mtu wetu aingie, mtu wao karibu Moi University. So vitu kama hizo. But Moi University was not a Kalenjin university. All Kenyans were there. Kila Mkenya alikuwa hapo ndani. There were even Orias in that campus. So hizo mafikra za kama hao watu tutaki juu, like you can't just say okay, like today you can't say we want to remove Mutai because it's a Kikuyu, but when we were in the KK, Kikuyus were now good. But remember, you cannot even last with the Luo, you are in a union with the Luo forever. These things have shifted. Luos were with the Kalenjins in 2007. Kalenjins left. They were Kikuyus up to 2022. Now they have come back. Kikuyus have gone that side. So you see, you don't make decision based on the political motives whereby unasema tia sasa sisi ni Wakikuyu tumeshikana hapa Rift Valley, huyo Vice Chancellor Mjaluo lazima aondoke. Sasa leo Wajaluo kuna kale, do you want to reinstate him back or so? Those are primitive. I can just say they are primitive and backwardness. That's why sisi tunasema hata kama unatutusi ati sisi ni we are coming from a certain tribe, but we are saying sisi mambo ya ukabila hizo kaidi nazo huko, but sisi tunasema we are focus, hakuna mambo ya ukabila. Kila mtu ako na nafasi na kila mtu provided you have merited, wacha hapa kazi, wacha kuangalia mambo za ukabila. Sasa unapata ukabila inafanya unapoteza a good leader. Maybe he was reforming Kericho, you never know, like that vice chancellor was reforming Moi University, but ukabila na kina au marafiki wa rais wanaribu inchi.
Yeah, I want to echo what Brother Miguda said. That is the truth. Ukabila ndio chanzo cha kila kitu kibaya in Kenya. Because when we face everything and we say ni ukabila, we just be damaging our country. The only statement I don't agree with Miguda in that one is kusema United. Unajua United wamekuwa kiwongo sana. Sijui kama Miguda amekuwa kiona. The only statement naweza kakatana nayo ni hiyo ya United. And I know Miguda. I know Brother Miguda. Hapa sijui kama
which United? Which one?
The same United.
Yeah?
You know, anytime I hear about United, nasikia gazi imekufa side moja.
I've not got to your point. Which people are United?
Yeah, you said United. Ni jina United umetumia nikakumbuka Manchester United.
Okay, good.
Nakupa gazi.
Got to your point.
So the other statement was true until ukasema United. Nikakumbuka vile tunalia kila siku
I'll be saying together.
So thank you. I just wanted to declare, Nani, I think you have clarified about Mutai and everything. I think they are still doing the impeachment. We are going to see the outcome. But we are going to see what the Senate, but I don't think it's going to be fair. I think in most cases when I know somebody is being impeached, I always nikijua kuna mtu anaimpeachiwa, I always know, and I think they are going to impeach him. This one I know truly they are going to impeach him. Najua wata impeach Mutai. I always look at the circumstances which ukiangalia Ongo Elisha, the question that is asking to them I think that guy has been impeached. It's just that ni vile tu lazima waendelee, but we are going to see in the long run. But if it is about tribalism and saying those things, kama si kitu mbaya amefanya, that one I think it's very wrong. So
brother, nikuulize, for Gachagua, we already knew what he had done. Sindo, we knew. Tulikuwa tunajua nini kuimba murima 24/7. This one, what do we even know? What has he done? Wambora, we knew he was all over. This one we don't even know. Even kwanza inabidi to guess jina yake ndio tukumbuke anaitwa Mutai. We don't even know. You don't even have a face on him. What the heck did he do ndio aanze kutolewa?
And if they're talking about kutolewa, you know, many of the governors, they are corrupt. I think 80% of the governors, even not 80, 90 governors are corrupt. You'll find they have stolen public resources. So I don't know how that formula works. I don't know truly. because even Bomet, the Bomet Senate has not brought any accusation, or the county assembly has not brought any accusation against Bomet governor, but you have had ameenda kushikwa na EACC. So I really wonder. So I think even the people who are supposed to mandate, since tusema wale watu wanafaa kumandate hizi vitu, also then they are corrupt. The members of parliament, the Senate, the people who are supposed to discuss these issues, they were found. I'm talking about it through the media because we had it through the media. They have been found even having WhatsApp messages asking for bribes. So I don't see it fair if they are going to nini those wanaweza impeach your governor. Hata hao wanafaa wajiimpeach. How do we impeach the senators and the MPs? Because also them they are full of corruption. That house is not that it is clean. What are they doing? They are the judge. They are the judge and the jury that they are going to pass. They are going to pass the judgment on a governor, but they cannot pass judgment on their own. We had they are being paid 10 million to do biddings in parliament. So it's such a shame that we can come and talk about somebody's corruption when we know the places even where corruption is happening the most rampantly is in so much in the parliament. So I don't see any help that we can get.
And goes back to Miguda. The way, why don't you guys in the law courts actually pass laws that are very difficult to play these games?
Yeah, I think that's the way it is, brother. Nani Mato Junior pia brother here is headed to somewhere. I think we can meet tomorrow. We discuss some issues when we have to.
Lakini hata kaa tunaenda, hata pia mi kuna mahali naenda kidogo, lakini our lawyer should tell us why the judiciary is just so toothless. Yani, they can do the amendments that I was asking for. Some of these things become very difficult to do, not to protect the politician, but to make sure that everything is done rightfully. Na watu kama mimi nashikwa nimeiba kuku, pia wengine washikwe. I wanted you to answer me that, my brother, because I feel like ni mumelala bwana. I know you're in there in the judiciary. I mean, uko kwa makoti, uko ma law courts and everything. You guys are the nyendo mnafaa kwa mkituangalia bwana. Tunaumwa.
Hatujalala, mambo iko tu vizuri, ni vile unapata kuna haki nyingi za binadamu. Unapata kwamba hata huyo the accused person has a right also to be heard, right to be presumed innocent. So you must take a due process, then utaconclude. So it's up to the convict judge to decide. So unajua kila mtu ako na haki na uko na huru nyingi, so you must maximize all your, I can say you must maximize all your remedies before tuseme kwa mfanya kitu. But all said and done, nasema tu sheria iko sawa, kuna kitu kibaya. Ni vile unapata there are so many rights, like you have no right to bond, bail, right to be heard, right to appeal, right to advocates. So it is more of, it's not like I can say it's not like we want to put it like it is dying.
Kama Waluke tuliwapatia tukawaletea all the evidence, the people, and sorry nikisema tu because you know where you belong, ni watu wa koti. Waluke tuliwaletea tukawaletea evidence yote, ni mukaturudishia.
Waluke was jail. You understand? There's too much interference also from the executive to the judiciary. There's too much interference. Hiyo pena there's too much interference with the independence of the institution. There's too much interference. Like even parliament right now, there's too much interference from the executive. By members have been compromised with kama hivi. So I think hiyo issue ya interference from in effect. Actually people need to, but there's a People are already working on it. It's a work progress, and I think we're gonna one day we're gonna.
Yeah, I admire you guys in the law courts and you guys what you do, because really, I mean, but still, like when you look at this whole thing, you find like I brought up the issue of Waluke. Look at Ruto. Ruto was actually is a convicted criminal. Look at Nani. Even this Gashagwa is a convicted criminal, and all the okay. Let me still talk about Babu Owino, is also convicted, and even though I like his means, maybe amelipatwa na Yesu, but you guys, yani you guys need, mkishika mtu mshike venye kama mtu wa kuku. You know, that's all I'm trying to say. I'm saying there's a lag in something. As long as, even today, I believe if I was a billionaire in Kenya, I probably would think you guys cannot touch me, you cannot do anything, and there's no law that gets to me. You see what I'm saying? Unaona mali watu wengi wako hapo ndio tuko. So you guys need to
let us not arrest people. It is the police who arrest people, and also the prosecutor who prosecute people. Your work just to represent the clans. Alafu napata Babu was never convicted. Let me tell you, Babu was never convicted. Babu was acquitted. He was set free, and also the person who the accused person, the victim actually withdrew the case, and he said that Babu was his friend who helped him. Babu has never been convicted. That's why the prosecutor moved to court to appeal the decision of the High Court, but Babu was never convicted. The person whom he was alleged to have shot, that person already withdrew the case, and Babu assisted him. Babu was never convicted.
How about Ruto?
Ruto was never convicted in the ICC.
He was convicted, man. That's my godfather. I mean, my mom's godfather. Muteshi's land. He was well convicted 2 times, not even once, twice.
Let us have that discussion tomorrow morning. So this Benson can close. We start from that one. Who was convicted or never convicted?
Benson, come back and close this channel kwa sababu kuna mtu hapa tunakula. Hey, anyway.